Your domain is the gateway to your website. So if you get this wrong, you're going to turn customers away before they've even landed on your homepage. But actually going out and getting your own domain is a bit of a minefield. You might wonder, what is the correct domain name to choose for your business? Where do you even buy a domain name from, or how you set it up for your website? Now, I've helped many small businesses through this process. So I'm going to walk you through 3 steps to make sure you choose the right one, you don't overpay for it, and you set it up correctly. In simple terms, your domain is the text that someone types into their browser to access your website. So if you're choosing a domain for your business, you want one that's short, easy to remember, and trustworthy. Now, the easiest way to do this is to pick a domain name that's as close to your business as possible. Just as an example, pick any big company, type in their name followed by .com, and you'll probably end up on their website. You've just got to their website without even knowing their domain before this video. But your domain doesn't actually have to be your business name. It could be something that's related to your business. One example is B&Q. They don't have the domain bnq.com. Instead, they have diy.com. Some small businesses also choose the format location plus trade.com. For example, manchesterelectrical.com. Now, this can help your local SEO, but I'd probably advise against it in the long run, as hopefully your brand is going to outgrow where you live. Another thing to consider is if you have a really long business name, you might want to make it shorter or abbreviate it so it's easier to type in. For example, Smith & Williams Legal Financial Services.com is a bit of a mouthful, so you might want to shorten it to smithandwilliams.com. One test I like to do with my clients is to get them to say their domain out loud to someone over the phone. If it's too difficult for them to write it down after hearing it once, you probably need to make it shorter or simpler. Lastly, should you use .com or another ending to your domain, or what we call a top-level domain? Now, there are lots of different top-level domains, .com, .co, .io. Generally, if you're a business, I would get the .com domain. But you could also consider using a top-level domain that's specific to your country if you wanted to stress that you're a local business. So for example, in the UK, we have .co.uk, which is a great choice for many businesses that are just based in the UK. So based on all these things, jot down a few ideas. You'll want to have a couple of them in case one of them's taken or it's too expensive. Okay, so maybe you've got a domain that you'd like to go out and buy, but where do you actually get it from? Well, the most straightforward way is to buy it through your website builder. Companies like Squarespace or Wix or Webflow, they offer the ability to purchase your domain through them. But I always recommend to my clients to purchase it themselves through a third-party provider. Simply because you might change your website provider or your website builder in the future, but your domain should last as long as your business does. Transferring your domain away from a website builder can be time-consuming or even expensive. And if the company goes bust, you might lose access to it. So the best way to maintain control over it is to buy it yourself through a domain provider, sometimes called a registrar. Now, you've probably heard of some domain providers such as Ionos or GoDaddy, but a lot of these providers will make you overpay for your domain. The initial prices might look tempting, but it's often the renewal costs that get you in the long run. You'll also want to look at any fees for transferring your domain away from your current provider in case they jack up the price for renewal. Security is probably your next priority. You want to make sure there's good protection on your account and your details so someone can't hijack your domain and point it to another website. Another thing that you should look out for is domain privacy. Every registered domain has some associated contact details with it, so this service will obscure your name and phone number from being shared on a public database. So with all that said, who do I actually recommend to purchase your domains from? And to be clear, this video isn't sponsored by anyone. This is just what I think at the time of recording. Currently, I register most of my domains through Cloudflare. Their main business is hosting websites, but they also offer domain registration at no extra markup. Now, I can't prove this, but anecdotally, through the domains that I've registered, for the equivalent service that they provide, they seem to be one of, if not the cheapest around. I also like that they tell you the renewal costs up front each year. Generally, I've found it a good experience, but what I will say is that the interface can be a bit overwhelming. Cloudflare offer a lot of different services to developers, so what it means is you have to navigate through a lot of menus to set up your domain. This makes it a bit of a learning curve, so if this is your first time setting up a domain, then you might want to look elsewhere. But if you're handy with computers, then I think this is a great option to get a domain at no extra cost. Another provider I can also recommend is Pork Bun. Now they're a bit of a newcomer in this space, but they offer an excellent service and they've got quite a good reputation online. What I like about this is the simplicity of the service. There aren't many add-ons or upsells, and it's pretty simple to buy a domain and just get it going very quickly. The downsides are it's quite a simple service. Many businesses want their domain, hosting, email all together in a single package. And while it does offer these services, I can't vouch for whether they're as good as some of the other companies. So I would just use Pork Bun for your domain registration. To be honest, a lot of domain providers do the same job. So if you pick one with a good reputation, you can't really go wrong. You just want to make sure that the ongoing costs are fair, it's a secure platform, and it's easy to transfer away if needed. Before you go ahead and buy your domain though, I have one piece of advice. If you like a domain, but the .com version of it is already taken, just walk away and pick another domain. You will be forever explaining to your clients that they shouldn't go to the .com version of your domain. So when you buy a domain, make sure it's completely free and unused. So let's pick a domain name that we like and connect it to our website. Now I'm going to purchase a .co.uk domain for this demonstration through Pork Bun. Once we've purchased and registered it, we now need to connect it to our website. Now this is slightly different for each website builder or hosting platform, but it generally works by adding or changing the DNS records. Now we don't need to understand all the technical details, but basically when someone types in your domain, we want these DNS records to point them to your website. So these will act as a bridge between your domain provider and whoever's hosting your website. So here I have a Squarespace website as an example, and what I'm going to do is go to Settings, Domains and Email, and you can see we can register or manage domains here. Now if we click Use a domain I own, we then just need to type in our domain. Now Squarespace is going to recommend that you transfer it to them. Obviously they want you to do that, but as I've already said, I recommend keeping it with your third-party provider. So let's click Connect Domain. There are a list of domain providers here, but Pork Bun is not listed, so we're just going to click Other. So we can see these are the DNS records that we need to add to our domain provider. So if we head over to Pork Bun and click on the DNS records, we're just going to simply add them one at a time. So if we go back, our first one is a CNAME, so we're going to copy that. We're going to click CNAME. And data, we want to copy that. And we just copy these over one at a time, basically. Okay, so sometimes you'll need to replace DNS records instead of just adding them. You can always go back, so give it a go and replace the DNS record, point it to your website. And now we can see all our DNS records are added, so the only thing left to do is test it. So if we hit refresh now, we can see that Squarespace sees all the records. So all that's left to do is to test whether our website's connected to our domain. So if we click on the link here in Squarespace, there we are. It should take us to our website. And with that, we are finished. You've chosen a domain that suits your business. You've gone out and purchased it the right way, and you've set it up for your business so it continues to serve you year after year. If you found this helpful, please leave a like below as it really helps out the channel. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to leave those too. And go watch this video next if you're really interested in this topic.